Deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You know, I've got an idea. If you can speak English decent, which I admire, because people live in foreign countries. If you're a foreign police officer or a retired police officer from Eastern Europe or Latin America or an Asian country that's been through dictatorships and tyranny, I'd like to hear from you as well, on top of the U.S. police officers and military, about, I mean, it's a big deal when they say, we're getting rid of posse comitatus, something they've been eating around the edges of for a long time. We're going to put military on the streets, and we're going to attack any country or individual we want worldwide. The whole world is a battlefield. That's called declaring war on the world. And then it's mega banks that have taken control of our country and are destroying nations by economic warfare. I'd like to hear from you. You can dial your country code, and then 512-646-1776, your country code, or the U.S. country code, and then 512-646-1776, country code 512-646-1776, or police, military right here in the U.S., 877-789-2539, 877-789, Alex. I've got the weekday number memorized, but I always forget our Sunday show because we do the phones ourselves here. So that's coming up. Right now, let's go to Roy, and then we'll come back from break and go to David and Insider and others. Roy in Georgia, you're on the air. Military, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Jones, let me say as the first words I ever spoke to you, I'm 81, and I've been listening to talk shows since they started, whatever decades ago that is. And I'll say again, so far, I believe that you are the most valuable man alive to the future of the Republic of the United States of America. That said, I'm ready to go with other things that I was so thrilled to hear the gentleman there who said 40% and growing, because while it may have been like 15, 16, or 17 in 1776, we can't make it. I'm afraid with all the technology. I'm afraid we would be suicidal at that lower rate to protect our republic. Now, sir, I'll speak on anything that you say. I was how I spoke to the screener is that I was a former probation officer, Fulton County, Atlanta. A former military intelligence career. Copied the United Nations Armistice Commission. Who said? Who was it that said, "Trust but verify"? I can hear that signal in my ear now.
Yes.
Go ahead now, sir. It seems we're making progress. I don't get to circulate money. I need some help here. It looks like the underground here, 139 years of history. It looks like they're trying to stampede me into confinement. I have an individual with Health and Human Services has been torturing me, and so to speak.
So you've got Health and Human Services, elder care, trying to make you go to a facility so they can carry out their operations?
That's what I sense, sir. And that individual is Gwendolyn Hendricks. And she's coming back, but I haven't heard from her in days, sir. I am alone here. The crime ring here has disarmed me. They think.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, obviously, you've got our number. You're in contact with us, sir, and God bless you and your service to our country and your kind words here. But, yeah, I do see this a lot. But obviously, do you have any family to help you out to make sure they don't try to make you move out of your home or your apartment? Or
my daughter, yes, sir. I have one daughter, and actually I have one sibling. That's the bane of my life. That's one sibling. He's got control of $1.5 million that's mine, and not even mention the inheritance from my mother in 1988. And
that's how this stuff goes. I know. I see that all the time. Well, God bless you. You've got our number, and you've got the number to the system here. And send me a letter so I know the story. I might have you on as a guest, okay? Just put attention Alex Jones on there. God bless you, my friend. I'll give the P.O. box out before this hour ends. Okay, more calls straight ahead. Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com.
We are on the march. The empire is on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Okay, we're continuing with your phone calls right now, police and military. But why just have this here for police and military in the U.S.? If you're outside the United States, I'd like to hear from you. Because this new National Defense Authorization Act is a worldwide declaration of war by the bankers, by the big 6 mega banks that have hijacked the United States, that are imploding Europe by design. We're going to be next in a big way. Just watch. They're saying Europe is under a dictatorship of the banks. That's even Time Magazine. Oh, how great. Goldman Sachs conquered Europe through fraud. Oh, they run it now. How wonderful. They got Europe to sign on to their derivatives debt. And now the public signed on to it. And the tax man is actually from the big banks. So under this National Defense Authorization Act, it says our military can attack anybody, anywhere in the world, anytime, and that the military can operate on the streets of America, and that citizens can be secretly arrested, no charge, no evidence, and just disappeared. Now, I know that's not as important as college football. I understand that. And it's not as important as factories shutting down and NAFTA and GATT killing us and giant prisons being built everywhere. But I will assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that this country is in deep trouble. See, the globalists have decided to build up China, and they've said that's their new command base, and implode the United States. That decision has been made. And that's why I have an article that I will get to later. I meant to on Friday. Draconian EPA regulations to cause rolling blackouts. Critics attacked by White House for making connection proven accurate. And here's the Austin American-Statesman. Texas could face rolling blackouts next year, reports say. And they admit under new greenhouse emissions standards, they're shutting down a whole bunch of plants all over the country. This is just where I live. But if you're General Electric, you're given exemptions by the White House. Automatically, your market share increases. China gets 3 new plants a week. We don't even get 2 new ones a year. This is economic warfare. We're being shut down. And they're saying, yeah, we're going to double your prices, roughly. And we're shutting down power plants everywhere. They're talking about shutting down hundreds of them nationwide. Already the first wave's increased your power bill. You notice it's gone up? And then I hear these idiots going, oh, I'm going to get my, expensive electric car that no one will buy. Where do you think that power comes from? It comes from coal generation systems. I mean, this is insane. All right. I mean, it's real simple. I'd like our country to have enough power. 51% is coal. All that comes out of the stacks is carbon dioxide. But they now have listed that as a toxic waste when it's what plants breathe. 200,000 years ago, it was 14 times higher than it is now. Now, carbon dioxide is 0.360 of the atmosphere. You heard me right, 0.360. It's part of the line. Okay, I'm already digressing. I can't believe this is happening. Okay, who's up next here? David in D.C., who's Navy. Then we'll go to Corey, who's police, Roy, Insider, and others, Karen and others. Go ahead. You're on the air, David.
Good evening, Alex. Great to talk to you today. How are you?
Good. I'm doing okay. Well, what's your view on all this?
Fantastic. Well, I've got just a couple of points that I'd love to make here. I've been listening to you for about 4 years. I've come to realize that the majority of Americans today are suffering from basically the combination of cognitive dissonance and willful ignorance. They just don't want to wake up. I've tried to get people to snap out of this, I don't know what you want to call it, the zombification through television and just being told what to believe. It's the way we're seeing politics framed left, right. You look at sports. Sports is the dress rehearsal for politics in this country today. Everything is us against them. You know, we've got the monopoly on truth, and how dare the Democrats, you know, propose anything different or vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, and then they can limit debate to those two parties. It's like people that have the stickers on their car of urinating on Ford, urinating on Chevy. Sure. I mean, again, instead of really caring about real issues.
Right. For me, when I look at this, it's basically, it's just a large-scale divide and conquer where the globalists have put us into two separate camps, conservative, liberal, progressive, libertarian, whatever you want to call it, back and forth, and just basically make things two-dimensional. Everything has three dimensions. When you realize that it's not just a one end of the spectrum versus another on a two-dimensional line, it's a full three-dimensional aspect that we're able to look at.
Exactly. I mean, here's an example, and I appreciate your call, David. We're going to go to some police here and another military in a moment. But I got sent an email this weekend, and I went and opened it up. It was a YouTube video, and it was, you visited the White House. You know, we're going to basically get you. And I went and looked at some guy named Alex Jones visited the White House last year. There are like 10 Alex Joneses that are adults in Austin. There's thousands nationwide. It's a very common name, very popular, been popular for decades, since I was born at least in the early 70s. And it's like, respond to this. And there's nothing to respond to. I haven't been to the White House. Even when I went there as a kid, I didn't visit the White House. I've never been to the White House, been outside of it. Been threatened with videotaping it a few years ago on, you know, being there. But, I mean, you can't, that's a one-dimensional person. It says my name. They search the database. I was there. Doesn't matter I wasn't. If there's a guy for NPR named Alex Jones, it must be me. If there's an AP photographer named Alex Jones, it must be me. That's one-dimensional thinking. That's basically what somebody with about a 70 IQ does. Now, two-dimensional thinking is what the general public does. Well, Newt Gingrich says he's a conservative. Doesn't matter. He's for abortion, gun control, open borders, socialist health care, global government, end of the family, wrote books about it. He says he's conservative. He doesn't like Bill Clinton. And, you know, back when I was 17 years old, I bought Newt Gingrich's book. I didn't like Bill Clinton. So I thought, Bill Clinton was elected president when I was about 17. And I thought Bill Clinton is horrible, so Newt Gingrich must be good. That's two-dimensional thinking. Three-dimensional is, hey, this is like a Don King boxing match. He owns both the fighters. This is rigged. See? And the public's like that. Great points. Let's go to, well, I want to read this quote, then I'll go to Corey and others, and then Insider. Here's the Stockholm Syndrome. This is what the public's under. It's a form of cognitive dissonance. In psychology, Stockholm Syndrome is an apparently paradoxical psychological phenomenon wherein hostages express empathy and have positive feelings towards their captors. They actually defend them, sometimes to the point of defending them. These feelings are generally considered irrational in light of the danger and risk endured by the victims, who essentially mistake a lack of abuse for their captors as an act of kindness. The FBI's hostage barricade database system shows that roughly 27% of victims show evidence of Stockholm Syndrome. That's right. And by the way, they're noticing the numbers growing in studies. The public is learning how to be an idiot, learning how to be a moron, learning how to rationalize and make excuses. Corey in Wisconsin, police officer. Go ahead. Thanks for calling. We got our phone system down for a minute. Go ahead, Corey.
I'm currently in the police academy right now in Wisconsin, and I tell you a little story about one of our instructors that came from Homeland Security.
Okay, go ahead and tell me the story. I'd like to hear it.
So anyways, he was teaching a class on hazardous materials, and he comes in the classroom, and the first thing he talks about, he said, well, my generation, the most popular things that we dealt with were traffic stops, things like that. Your generation, the most popular